Hello, Mount Lions. How are all my kindergarten friends doing? I'm Mrs. Jones, and I'm back for a story with you. Today's story is called Sheila Rae the Brave, and this story is written by Kevin Hinkes, and I think you're really going to enjoy this story. I think it's a good story, and I think you're going to have maybe some connections to this story. And then I also think there's some vocabulary words in here that you could use when you're doing your assignment later on. Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the vocabulary words, but that doesn't mean they're words that you may already know the meanings of. You actually may do that. And there may be some other words in the story that you're not sure of. And if that is the case, please make sure that you ask a grown up and have them explain that word. And while the story's going on, listen to the sentences before and after that word and see if maybe between that and the picture clues you can figure it out as well. Okay, so let's get started. So one of the words we have is brave. Okay. And brave means you're feeling or showing no fear. Okay? So when you're brave, you're not afraid, right? You feel confident. Okay. Next word is afraid. And I think most of us have had at some moment in our life, we have been afraid. Okay? That's normal. And the word afraid means feeling fear or you're very worried. Okay? Another word that you're going to hear in this story is giggled. Okay, and I love to giggle. And you know what I love more? I love hearing kindergarten friends giggle. That makes me happy. That makes me feel happy, and it puts a big smile on my face. And giggled, look at this. Listen to this definition. It says to laugh in a childlike way. Okay, and you're all children. Let me pull the word out. Okay, this word is sidewalk, and these used to be, I think, more common than they are now, but the sidewalk is the concrete path along the side of the street. And I know we have sidewalks around in this neighborhood, and in parts of this neighborhood we have sidewalks, and if you're able to get on one of those, it's a good way to stay safe. The next word is whispered. Whispered. And that means to speak very softly or quietly. Sometimes we need to whisper. Fearless. Okay? If you are fearless, you are without fear. Okay? You're not afraid. Our next word is lost. Okay? And if you're lost, you don't know where you are. And sometimes that happens like when you're driving or on a trip. So just know that can happen, okay? Growled. What is growled? To make a low, threatening sound like an animal. Okay? We don't want to be growling, really, I don't think. Backwards. Okay? And backwards means the opposite of the usual way. And sometimes at school, I bet you've seen teachers and we walk backwards because we're watching the line. And then sometimes we have to watch where we're going because we don't have our eyes turned forward either, right? So that's backwards. And then imagined. Okay, imagined. And that means to think of or create. Okay? Now, like I said, you may have known some of those words, and there may be other words inside the story that you're not sure of. So just, if that happens, make sure you ask somebody. Okay? All right, let's get started with our story. Get my hair out of my face. Sheila Rae the Brave. Okay, so she's brave. She has no fear, right? Sheila Rae the Brave. There we go. Sheila Rae wasn't afraid of anything. Let me work on. Hold on just a second. Let me try to get my computer where it's a little more focused on the story. Sorry, guys. Maybe it's not as blurry as I think. Okay, we'll keep going. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder and lightning. And she wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. At dinner, Sheila Rae made believe that the cherries in her fruit cocktail were the eyes of dead bears, and she ate 5 of them. At school, Sheila Rae giggled when the principal walked by. And when her classmates, Wendell, stole her jump rope during recess, Sheila Rae tied him up until the bell rang. "I'm very brave," Sheila Rae said, patting herself on the back. The things that she's doing, would you consider that to be brave? If you feel like it's brave, why do you think that? And if you're like, I don't know if that's brave or not, why don't you think that might be brave? Her eating things and calling them eyeballs, or laughing at the principal, or tying her friend up on the playground. Is that being brave? Think about that. Sheila Rae stepped on every crack in the sidewalk without fear. When her sister Louise said there was a monster in the closet, Sheila Rae attacked it. And she rode her bicycle no-handed with her eyes closed. "Yay, yay, Sheila Rae!" her friends yelled, clapping their hands. Okay, so again, are the things that she's doing, do you consider those to be brave things? One day, Sheila Rae decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid to. Remember, Louise is her younger sister. "You're too brave for me," Louise said. "You're always such a scaredy cat," Sheila Rae called. "I am not," whispered Louise. So she's not going to walk home her usual way. I don't know. Is that brave? Sheila Rae started off skipping. "I am brave," she sang. "I am fearless." She stepped on every crack. There's an old saying that if you step on the crack in the sidewalk, you break your mother's back. That's not really true. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at stray dogs and bared her teeth at stray cats. Do you know what it means to bare your teeth? It means to be like showing your teeth. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She climbed up them and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Rae walked and walked. She turned corners. She crossed streets. It suddenly occurred to Sheila Rae that nothing looked familiar. Wonder what that means. Sheila Rae heard frightening noises. They sounded worse than thunder. She thought horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she had ever imagined. "I am brave," Sheila Rae tried to convince herself. "I am fearless." The sound became more frightening. The thoughts became more horrible, and Sheila Rae sat down on a rock and just cried. "Help!" She sniffed. She thought of her mother and her father and Louise. "Mother! Father! Louise!" she cried. Wonder if y'all see what I see on this page. Do you see it? "Here I am," a voice said. "Louise!" Sheila Rae hugged her sister. "We're lost," Sheila Rae said. "No, we're not," said Louise. "I know the way home. Just follow me." Louise stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at stray dogs and bared her teeth at the cats. and she pretended that the trees were evil creatures, and she jumped up and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Rae walked quietly behind her. They walked and walked. They crossed streets. They turned corners. Soon their house could be seen between the trees, and Sheila Rae grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. When they reached their own yard and the gate was closed behind them, Sheila Rae said, "Louise, you are brave, and you are fearless." We both are," said Louise. And they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. It's a good story, isn't it? Okay. So I want you to think at the beginning of the story some of the things that Sheila Rae was doing, if you consider those to be brave. Okay. And, why do you think they're brave, or why don't you think they're brave? And then at the end of the story, I want you to think about how Sheila Rae was feeling. And then think about her sister, if you feel like Louise showed bravery at the end of the story. Okay, there was a lot going on in this story. All right. Okay, and today when you answer your questions, think about those words that we went over. We talked about being brave, afraid, giggled, sidewalk, whispered. Let me see. We've got fearless, lost, growled, backwards, imagined. So whenever you're answering your questions today, you may find that you're using some of these vocabulary words to answer your questions. Well, I do hope that you enjoyed the story of Sheila Rae the Brave, and I will see you soon, kindergarten friends. Bye.